Hi, this is Eric with Mocha Megane Workshops, and this is part 2 of cleaning metal for a billet. Again, we're using copper, brass, and nickel silver, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, 20 and 18 gauge. So this is my cleaning system. Cleaning setup with a jig for the 1.5 by 1.5 pieces of metal. That way I can do 2 at a time. We've got some fine pumice powder and then a couple cleaning blocks with the 3M Scotch-Brite. Our first rinsing container, second rinsing container, and then we have our final soak, and that is citric acid mixed with water. All the water is distilled. It is just food grade citric acid, about a tablespoon. So the idea is to clean both sides of the metal, rinse, and then leave it in the citric acid. We'll clean all pieces. Looks like I have about 2 dozen. We'll all let them soak in the citric acid. For this, I'll wear some latex gloves, or actually these are nitrile. And I just have these in order of how I'm stacking. We've got some some simple green in a little squeeze bottle here. It's diluted about 50-50. Can get some on our Scotch-Brite block. And then we just start scrubbing. You can see that copper goes to that nice pink color, kind of the muted color you'll see right away with scrubbing with the pumice and the Scotch-Brite. Go in all directions, usually for about 20 seconds. And I've got some tweezers in case I need some help getting out of the jig. I'm going to rinse the first side, flip it over, rinse the second side, flip it over, do a little bit more pumice. Again, it goes back to that muted color. So what we're doing here is really getting rid of any oxides that we can't see, or oil from touching it, any kind of contaminants. We're using the distilled water so we don't deposit minerals on the surface from tap water. Notice we have this really nice sheeting action where the water, it doesn't bead. It's nice and smooth on the surface. And we rinse, making sure that we get all the pumice off, and then leave it in the citric acid water. A lot of people these days use that as pickle, so I'll just start calling it pickle at this point. And that final rinse. And then next we have a piece of nickel silver and a piece of brass. Get a little bit more pumice. Now with the copper alloys, we can stack them really in any order because they have such a close melting temperature to each other. A lot of times I like sandwiching the red brass in between the nickel and copper, so I'll have twice as many brass layers as the nickel, silver, and copper. I just like that. Has kind of a more of a gold color to it than red or yellow brass. Again, I want to give some downward pressure, you know, like you're really scrubbing to try and remove something that's stuck on the surface. Again, the sanding was done mostly to level the surface and to bring attention to any like scratches or pits. And this is actually really cleaning the surface. And from what I've read, getting this fine tooth actually helps create that bond. It's on an atomic level, it helps the intermingling of the atoms. So anything we can do to help that. Notice that this is starting to get pretty chewed up. But we're going to use all sides of the blocks. We still have a lot of metal to go. I can put a little bit more simple green on there. If you're cleaning metal that looks the same as far as color, like the white metals like nickel, silver, white gold, palladium, platinum, you want to have separate holding containers that are labeled so you don't get those mixed. Rinse that first side, flip. Always get just a little bit more pumice, that way I'm really getting good cleaning action. So I'll do about 8 pieces or so. Let's see. This is 6, I believe. Well, I'll need to change out this water eventually. I'll do a couple more pieces. I usually change it out about every 8 pieces. But now I'm going to start using another side of the Scotch-Brite. That way I'm, not going to wear through that. I get nice new Scotch-Brite material to clean the surface. If you don't have the jig, you can just hold onto the piece of metal in the bottom of your container. The jig is nice just because it can do 2 pieces, it holds it in place, so really all you're having to do is hold the jig. A little less wear and tear on the hands. Pops out, stick it back in. Alright, so there's 8 pieces done. Again, looking at the surface. Always take advantage of any time that you can check out the surface on both sides, just to, double check. So I'm going to get rid of this water. And then we'll just pour this in here. Add a little bit fresh. This is distilled again. Distilled water. And then we can resume cleaning. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and then part 3 will be drying the metal and stacking. Again, cleaning all the metal and leaving it here in the citric acid.